as we, thank you, Jessica. We are going to start as we typically do with introductions. So just share your name, where you are located, and we are going to do a mentee word cloud. Oh yeah, we are located, any successes or accomplishments for you or your family or community. And then after that, we're going to do a word cloud with mentee. But if you, Jessica just put it in the chat, so you can follow that link to share your answer with what are your New Year's Eve plans. Or if you don't want to share on the mentee, you could just share when it's your turn to introduce yourself. Yeah, I was gonna say, we can keep this screen up. And we can just kind of popcorn around. So I'll call on someone, and then when you're finished with your introductions, if you'll just call on the next person. So Charisse, would you like to go first?
Sure. Sorry, I wasn't finding the mute button. My name is Charisse Rhodes, calling in from Tacoma, Washington. She, her, hers. And then what was the last question? I'm sorry.
Any successes or accomplishments for you, your family, or your community?
Success. My daughter's on the spectrum, and she is not a people person, or she is, but it's also strange and weird for her. And she typically does not get along with males. But through coaching and like finding ways to interact or get her engaged with other males, we have a success where like 2 males are now her people. One of them is her math teacher, and she hates math. The other one is a male who I'm also trying to get her civically engaged. I know. But I feel like I am. And it's like, like, I don't want her to wait till she's almost 50 to like start getting actively engaged with community. And then the other person is a male who, I don't know, she looked up to him. So like it's a success because like she's 12 and like she really doesn't like people, but somehow she really admires these 2 males. Like the teacher, to the point where I had to take her out to buy a birthday present for this person. She remembered his birthday. Y'all, I've been her mom for 12 years. She don't even know mine. So like that's like the big excitement thing for me is and like how do I build up now like with her peers, because like I know at this age like I had sleepovers, I had friends, like yeah, so I'm trying to like figure out ways to build on that success. Yeah. I'm gonna pass it to Jessica because you're the first name I see.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Spencer with the community engagement team at DCYF. And I'm in Richland, Washington, currently in the process of moving to Spokane. And successes, I've been pleasantly surprised that our small team at community engagement has been transitioning pretty well with the recent changes. And also pretty excited about my family's move. And I have no New Year's Eve plans, go to bed early. And that's about it. I'll pass it to Emily.
Hello, I'm Emily Morgan, she, her pronouns, and I am also on the community engagement team, and I am located in Spokane. I would say my success is, I'm adjusting him because we were feeding, but I had a baby since the last time that I was with you guys. So this is my son, Felix, and it's been a wonderful 2 months getting to know him and learning how to be a mom. Let me see, sorry, tangled. I will pass it to Natasha.
Hi, my name is Natasha Fechtel-Minger. I'm in Kitsap County, use she, her pronouns. I would say, so something that I was kind of excited, locally we have a group called Kitsap Strong, and they did what is usually an elected officials luncheon, but they opened it up to community leaders. And I was able to bring like 3 parents into the room and lift parent voice. And one of them was on the panel. So that was really cool. And I'm trying to go back to school, and that sucks. Like trying to pick out a university and find the money to pay for it is absolutely overwhelming and horrible. And for New Year's Eve, we've all decided that we're going to watch this New York celebration and go to sleep. I'll pass it to Lena.
Hi, Lena Swart, Clarkston, Washington. My family is alive. That is accomplishment enough some days. So that is where I'm at. How about, I can't see very many people on mine. Let's see. How about Stephanie?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Reed. I live in Arlington, Washington, and success is one of my kiddos that's been in feeding therapy forever and doesn't eat anything, started eating everything. So we're eating dill pickles and all kinds of wild stuff, and it's really exciting. And I'm supposed to send it to someone else, sorry. Everyone who I can see already went. Tammy.
Yeah, and I can't figure out how to blur my background, so I don't know. My husband's gonna be back there. So you can mute it now. I told him to mute the TV when it was my turn. So my name is Tammy England, and I live in Olympia, Washington. Any successes, accomplishments? So we have a 10-year-old son that we adopted from foster care, and he's doing mostly okay. So that's a big accomplishment. I haven't been hit recently, so that's a big accomplishment. We removed a lot of toys, and that seemed to really calm him down. He had just way too many toys in his room. It was just overstimulating. And yesterday at school, he every 15 minutes, he's on an IEP, he gets a little score of how good he does. And he got the highest score for every 15 minutes. So I was really proud of him.
What about James next?
Let's see if this thing works. Well, I can't see myself. Hello, everyone. My name is James Ort. I live in Ocean Shores, Washington currently. The biggest accomplishment that I have so far is I became a paraeducator for our local school district, and I'm torn between the elementary school and the high school and junior high that we have. Other than that, I just bought a house, so I'm getting that done and living the dream down here in Ocean Shores.
That's awesome. Congratulations, James. Tiffany, do you want to go next? Welcome, by the way.
Hi, hello everyone. It's been quite some time. So my name is Tiffany Yvonne, and currently right now I am in Tacoma, Washington, the land of the Puyallup tribe. I am a parent to a delightful and currently attitudinal 10-year-old, about to be 11. And that is my only child, my only little beloved in my life. And what else did we need to respond to? Because I missed the beginning opening. Apologies.
No worries. Any successes or accomplishments for you, your family, or your community? And then if you'd like, you can also share if you have any New Year's Eve plans.
Oh, I definitely don't have any New Year's Eve plans. I actually don't celebrate the Gregorian New Year. I celebrate the New Year based on the natural rhythms of the planet. So it's in the spring, more closer to the spring for me. And the successes for, I think taking time away, I actually just got back in the country. I've been gone about a month, traveling, and It is the first time that I have traveled by myself internationally without my kid in basically like 11 years. So that's a big success for me. My kiddo did something else. They wanted to go snowboarding, so that's what they did. So to me, that's my big success, because being able to take time just where it's for myself and not being in all of my caretaking roles, because I also caretake for some elders in my life in addition. And then I also have a large staff to tend to. That was a huge success for me, and it's a huge success for my son to be able to communicate what it is he was wanting to do for himself and what he wanted to experience, and being able to support that, and knowing that we can have time and space apart and still be very connected. And so, yeah, that's my success for right now.
Thanks, Tiffany. That's beautiful. Jenny, do you want to go next?
Yes, happy to go next. Hi, everyone. Jenny with DCYF, still on the Strengthening Families Washington team. I'm located in Olympia, and I feel like my little one, who's 3 now, is in preschool and has a difficult time with the transition. But I feel like so far this week, it's been a little bit easier. So I consider that a win. So we're still working on the transition, but overall, I feel like this week has been a huge success, and no plans for New Year's Eve. And do you want me to call on Amber? I don't think Amber's gone.
Hi, thanks, Jenny. Yeah, I'm Amber Williams. I'm from Spokane, Washington. This is actually my last meeting with you all, because I'm ending my time with this group at the end of this year. So sad to do so, but I just have some other commitments in my life that make this not work out so well. I was really hoping to see everybody in person at least one more time. That didn't work out either. As far as successes go, not a lot actually right now. I guess my daughter has stayed healthy while the rest of my house has not. So I'll take that small win. And then also no plans for New Year's. And I think, if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but Eric, you have not gone yet, right?
I have not gone. I'm glad this is not a kick soccer game. That Amber, we're going to miss you. Thank you for participating. My name is Eric LaFontaine. I am also with DCYF on the community engagement team. I am located in Lakewood, Washington. I use he, him pronouns. And I too am very proud of our small community engagement team and the way that we've been able to transition during the last few months with losing some staff, and then even having others on maternity leave, but thankfully now they're back. And I also did get Christmas lights up this weekend, so I'm pretty happy about that. And I have no plans for New Year's. Back to you, Emily.
Awesome. So that takes us pretty well into our next agenda item, which is the community engagement team transition. We all know how much Deanna meant to all of you, and so we just wanted to give some space and time for you guys to share any thoughts or feelings or concerns, questions you have about the staff changes and transitions the community engagement team is going through. So with that, I'll just open it up, and feel free to unmute, or if you'd rather put anything you have to say in the chat, that works too, and we can read it out for you.
So did she go to a different department?
We have permission from Deanna to share that she was laid off. So
okay.
yeah, so she's no longer with DCYF.
Okay. You could come be a nurse. There's lots of positions.
Did Deanna say if she's open to, like, I guess, contact, or even though she's not with DCYF anymore?
I don't know specifically. I'm sure she would be open to that, but I will that is a good thing to note. I'll reach out to Erin Kerrigan, who's on our team, who's still in good contact with Deanna, to see what she has to say about that, and let you guys know. That's a good question.
I might have missed something, but like, what happened to shrink the team? Like, is there a different focus? Like, I don't know. I just heard that she's not here anymore. And then now everyone's saying our team is tiny.
We had, so part of it was we had one of our team members, Chelsea, she had a baby in August, so she's still on maternity leave until the first of the year of next year. And then I also had a baby, so I was on maternity leave and I'm back on a limited basis. And then we had two team members, Deanna being one of them, get laid off due to the governor's vaccine mandates for state employees.
Okay, we're making sense now. Thank you.
So can I ask then, Eric, are you the new Deanna? Like, I just started to understand, like who Jenny and Deanna were. And Emily, I'm sorry, I don't recognize you. So obviously I haven't been on a call in a while and I apologize.
I actually have not been on that many PAG calls. So I've been with the team since 2018, but I've only been on a few PAG calls and they've all been virtual. So that totally makes sense. And technically, sorry to answer for you, Eric.
No, please do, because I am not.
Erin Kerrigan is the temporary or what's the word, interim deputy director of community engagement. So she has temporarily replaced Deanna until HR can go through the new, or not the new, but the hiring process. I'm sorry, did you ask another question?
No, that was it. I think so if one of you like I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Right. So there's like a leader and then there's someone that would come in and do IT and take pictures. Like that kind of thing. Is that all different now?
A little bit. So do you mean take pictures like at the in-person meetings?
Yeah, I guess she was, I swear she looks like, I'm thinking she looks like Jessica, but that's not her. And then, but it's okay. I'll figure it out. You don't have to, like, it's okay.
No, those are good questions. So Eric and I are community engagement managers. Those are our titles. And Erin's title before she became the interim director. You guys are familiar with Erin Kerrigan, right? Or maybe
maybe
not.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't think she's been to a virtual PAG meeting in a while, but I know she was very present when you guys were meeting in person. So you probably recognize her if you saw her. So she was the community engagement administrator, now the interim deputy director. And Jessica is the community engagement analyst. Now I'm like, well, what is the title? It used to be specialist, but I think it's analyst now.
I think it's still specialist.
Okay. So Jessica is the brilliant person working the PowerPoints and doing all of the note taking, and she sends out a lot of the emails that you guys receive. And then I will be I don't want to say replacing Deanna because nobody can replace her, but I will be doing a lot of what Deanna was doing for PAG moving forward. Oh, and also I see in the chat, Alina added that Deanna has Facebook and added her. So maybe that way. So Tiffany, if you're on Facebook, you may be able to find Deanna there. And Sharice.
I do not do social media. So I would really appreciate the follow-up.
Yeah, we will definitely do that. Thank you. And Sharice, I see you have your hand up. Feel free to just jump in.
Yeah, I got a question. So it just hit my mind when someone had said that the team seems like it's shrinking, but it also seems like the whole thing all the way around is shrinking. So like, I don't know. Like, I feel like when I came in, there were a lot more parents, or at least different parents. And now it seems like it's like totally different parents. And not saying that's a bad thing because life happens, but it brings me to this, like, during the time that I've been, a part of this group, I think I only met people in person, like, I think like once or maybe twice. And my question is there ever going to be a time again when we're able to kind of see who people are. And I guess selfishly, like I'm a people's person, and like I like to know who I'm in space with, and it's kind of hard, even though like we should be used to it with all this virtual stuff. But I'm just wondering, is there ever an opportunity to go back to that? Because now there's new staff, or I know you're not new, you had a baby, but like I heard about you. This is like the first time me actually physically seeing you. Like, is that ever going to happen again, or are we? Just a question.
Yeah, we definitely do have plans to resume at least one in-person meeting a year. And next year we are planning on the July, I believe it's the July meeting being in person. So that's something that we are working towards. And we'll get those dates, the 2023 dates out to you guys sometime either before the end of this year or right after the new year. But yes, the July meeting we're hoping to do in person. And if everything goes according to plan, that will be right after recruitment. So if we have new parents joining this group, they will also be able to be in attendance at that meeting, because we definitely hear that in-person meetings are where the connections are able to happen on a deeper level. And we agree with that and have definitely felt the have been missing that connection as well. Tammy? Oh, sorry, Eric. Go ahead.
Those 2023 dates are actually at the back of the agenda. So anyone that has the agenda, you can find them on there.
Perfect. We can also send them out with a follow-up email in case you guys don't have the agenda handy. Sorry, Tammy, go ahead.
Okay. I think I clapped and all kinds of things trying to get my hand to raise. So I didn't mean to do all that. I was just trying to figure out which button to push to get my hand to raise. But yeah, I agree. I think in person would be so much better. And, you know, how long of I think I just joined last summer. So is it a 2-year? How long do we?
I think it is 2 years, but we also are very open to
can we reapply?
Yes, it's not like if you've served for 2 years, you have to step off. We definitely encourage people who are engaged to continue participating.
And I guess I don't quite really understand what the purpose of this group is. Like, what kind of policies are we changing policies? Are we just advising policies? Are we, I guess, you know, like when I go to meetings, we make changes and the changes happen. So I don't know what's the.
Yeah, that is a great question, Eric. Feel free to jump in if I'm missing anything. But yeah, the parent advisory group is an advisory group to the agency. So the goal is for this group to advise the agency on different initiatives, policies, or if there's specific things that you guys want to bring to the agency. This is definitely the place for that.
Doesn't mean it will change anything. It's just we're advising.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think the goal is always, you know, for your voices to be heard and changes that parents want to be made to be made. And we do try to, if changes aren't made, with a feedback loop process, let you know why those changes weren't made, or if they were made, what was changed.
And what, because my son is 10 and my other kids are older. So what's the cutoff? Like, am I like kind of aging out of the age for this? He was 9 when I joined.
I was gonna say, do you know, Eric?
No, I don't actually.
I do.
Thank you, Jenny.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah, so happy to answer that. So since we are now DCYF, Tammy, the aging out is much later. So I think kiddos age out of foster care around 21 now. And so we have increased the age to 17 for the parent advisory group specifically. So there's a much broader range. When we were Department of Early Learning, it was much more narrow. So birth to 5, since that was our focus. But yeah, when DCYF was created, Deanna and I had conversations wanting to make sure that we're getting an array of experiences for the supports that DCYF offers, which we now know is much older for children. So no aging out. So you're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could learn a lot from you guys, but I think I could learn a lot more if I saw you in person.
And I could maybe add a little more context to the purpose of what we're hoping to be achieved. I think ideally that a lot of the feedback and the topics and the discussions that go on here at within this group then have the opportunity to kind of feed into some of the other committees that we work with, Early Learning Advisory Council, and the parent, or excuse me, and provider supports. I know that a lot of those topics seem to kind of work in unison with this particular group. And so I think what we're even hoping, it's a great segue into the purpose part, that we really want to find the important items that this group should be talking about. And where can this group find an opportunity maybe to move the needle, and what does that look like? So I don't, maybe Jenny, you've been with the group obviously for longer than all of us. Maybe you could provide a little more depth on what PAG actually does and the purpose is.
Sure. Sorry, my toddler's in the back, so you're gonna hear him. Okay, baby. So I think that this question is really big, and I think something that we've been sitting on for quite some time. Natasha, you probably know this because you've been on, I feel like, for a really long time, maybe one of the longest on here. I feel like, the intent is to cultivate parent leadership, parent partnership. Okay, 1 second. Parent partnership within DCYF as a whole. However, DCYF is massive. And so I feel like trying to infiltrate all the areas of the system is really difficult. And so I feel like, to what Emily shared, we bring in policies that you all are interested in and or that are coming down from the top to get your feedback. And the hope ultimately, Tammy, is to have parents folded in to all aspects of DCYF. So their voice is at the table, further upstream, helping us make decisions. Okay, hang on 1 sec. Before decisions are made, because you all are whom we serve, right? Whether it's just, trying to gather community feedback around prevention or intervention, whatever it might look like. And so I feel like that's the ultimate big dream. I just feel like it's really hard to shift internal culture to fully get there. So I feel like we're making wins. I feel like it's just taking a really long time. So I don't know if that necessarily gets at the exact purpose, because I don't know that there is a solid one. Besides, we really just want, sorry. 1 second. We really just want parents at the table ultimately in all aspects of the work that we're delivering. And you all are the start of that, and helping us cultivate that and foster that within the department. I hope that makes sense. Sorry, I know he's distracting in the background.
Thank you, Jenny. That was a big help, even for me.
Yeah, if I could just add, I think that the parent group, this PAG group, has morphed. Like, it went through the DCYF change. So we were DEL, and then so I think in general we're still trying to get our bearings on what it looks like to be a part of those other policies. But I will say that I have seen our feedback make a difference in how policy moved forward. And I have very, very clearly, when our parent group stood up for something, it was heard loud and clear. And Ross Hunter did not move forward on a policy that he was thinking of. So we do make a difference. I think we're just trying, right now we're just in growing pains and getting on the other side of the pandemic.
Yeah, that was very well said, Natasha. Thank you.
So gain resistance, you don't have to worry about it.
Is there anything else anybody would like to share? Any questions, concerns? Okay. And if as always, if you have any questions or concerns that you either didn't have time to share or didn't come to you or you didn't feel comfortable sharing, you can email us. You can email the community engagement team and we will do our best to get an answer to you. We are very ahead of schedule now, but I think we can go ahead and move into the 2023 work plan discussion. Eric, you want to take it away?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you all for being here and for taking the time out this evening for kind of reparticipating with PAG as we get started again. As we looked back at some of the items and topics that you all have had the opportunity to discuss and be involved in, we wanted to make sure that we really identify through working with this group, what are those topics that we can bring forward in 2023, and what are some of the call it a hot button issue or call it something that the group feels they'd like to learn more about or have questions on, or just something that really relates to the good work that we're able to do here with this group. So this next part of the agenda it's pretty informal. We haven't necessarily started to build out a 2023 work plan. I don't even know if there is a 2022 work plan for PAG. Maybe Jenny, I don't know if you know, that'd be helpful. But what we were hoping to, again, accomplish tonight was really hear from you about what it is that's going to be coming up and what are some of the things that you'd like to make sure that we discuss. So with that, I'd just like to open it up to discussion and maybe some feedback. Please don't be shy.
Oh, I ain't shy. So one of the things I would love to hear more on is BIPOC maternal health, right? It's alarming, and then buckets, it's like we talk about, the risk factors for someone like me giving birth to someone like Alina, and how the chances higher, like someone me will pass away from something like that versus her. But I don't feel that even though we have this data, we have this information, I don't see the correlation on where the state or the government is trying to help us combat that. Like, is it investing more money in doulas? Is it like investing more money so that we can not only train up our doctors of color, but also retain them, like keep them here? I hear that like a lot of times, they don't stay, like they leave. Another thing I would like to talk more about, and I love hearing that the age group has increased to 17, because I feel like that's like where I am now, and like having conversations about our children's mental health. Like, I know that we just went and we put in legislation for kindergarten to, I believe it's like 3rd grade for social emotional learning, but where is that beyond that? Because during this pandemic, like a lot of kids and families that I know and I have love for, some of their kids have completed suicide. Some of them have a lot of, I'm learning like there's idealization, like you think about it, like where are we putting in supports also for those kids with the mental health struggles? Because some of them weren't even struggling before, but they're definitely struggling now. And also with that, it's like substance abuse, I heard now is a lot higher with some of our kids with just using common chemicals that we have in the house. So it was like before, like I was worried about, who she was around, but now it's like, man, I got stuff in my, I don't know. So it's like, I like that we've changed, but like, where are we also looking for some of those support for those older kiddos? Because it seemed like it was easier for me to find support and help for her when she was younger, and not so much now that she's older. I know I
Thank
gave a lot. I'm sorry.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, that is great to be able to receive that feedback and really give us an idea of, again, what are some of the items that are going to be really important. How about anyone else? Anyone else here have something to share, or maybe in support of that topic?
I definitely think that BIPOC Black maternal health is a huge issue, and in any way that our department, like DCYF, could support that or move within that space would be awesome. I really think that a big place where we could insert ourselves is the school to prison pipeline. DCYF encompasses the entire magnitude from, birth, like being able to offer services that help children immediately so they don't enter that pipeline, into special, like there's just all these places where that pipeline is solid and flush, and DCYF could make a difference, especially since we are now, juvenile justice is a part of our organization. I feel like we have a responsibility to do preventative measures that will, even when children do end up in the juvenile justice system, how do we stop the recidivism immediately? Like those, I really feel like we have a place there. That's what I think. Thank.
And I love you said that, Natasha. I'm sorry. My cousin's name is Natasha. She doesn't like to be called Natasha. She likes to be called Tasha. And I just did that to your name. So I'm sorry, Queen. Didn't mean to do that.
People who love me call me Tasha. It's okay.
Okay. So, but also to go even further in that, like there's also a preschool to prison. So like for my son, a lot of his stuff started at preschool. So like, yeah, but thank you for elevating that up.
Yeah, no, I was just at that local Kids Up Strong event, and literally the highest expulsion rate for any child is in preschool. Where do they go if they're expelled from preschool?
Well, for me, it was finding a head start, because they don't do that. And that was my saving grace with my son.
Tammy, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah. So I was thinking, so my son has been diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder. We're his fourth home, foster care, we adopted. And I've seen that with a lot of kids in the system where they're staying with their foster families for 4 to 6 years and then being returned to their bio parents. So I don't know if we could make a suggestion or how we could do this where we could help the parents better so they could stay with the parents at the beginning, or I don't know, or if they're not able to stay with, but just this back and forth is really hard on these kids. And so, I mean, and then, we have a lot of behaviors because of that. I'm the meanest mom in the world. So my goal is to keep him out of prison. I mean, that's my goal for my son. I mean, he kicks kids at school, he kicks his teacher. There's consequences, we lose toys. It's kind of, there's consequences for, when you're 18, the consequences will be bigger than losing your Pokemon cards. But right now you just lose your Pokemon cards. And then tomorrow's a new day. We start all over. But but I see this again and again where kids are being, so I'm a foster parent, so I see it from that perspective. I mean, I wish that he could have stayed with his bio parents. I know I can't, but I think if he could have just stayed there and not done all this moving, and maybe he wouldn't have had this reactive attachment by being moved. And if you can't, I mean, we got to make a decision whether these parents are safe sooner and not let them stay away for 4 to 6 years and then remove them from the only home they've had since birth when they're in first grade and then send them. I mean, that's just, we got to make a decision sooner. I don't know how to do that, but I think we're damaging kids by the way we're currently doing it, by taking so long to decide.
Thank you,
I just
Tammy. No, go ahead.
To piggyback on that, I think just as a whole, the whole child welfare, I'm also a foster parent, adoptive parent, but the shift we've seen that we want to keep children with their family members. I'm a mentor for foster parents and kinship caregivers. And so I'm talking to mostly kinship caregivers at this point, and they are like at a complete loss on what to do. They're being left alone without resources or connection to resources. I don't know who to call. I don't know what to do. They're calling me and basically pressuring me to take my 5 grandchildren. I only live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I felt like I had to. Now I have these kids and I don't know what to do. And so I think that we've pushed as a state to say children should be with people that they know, their family members, and we haven't really caught up on how to support those family members. It's pretty scary, I feel like, hearing what they're saying. Like, I don't have enough money to pay for my own food. How am I going to feed this child? And I can't get a hold of a social worker because there's no social workers, or all the social workers have only been with the department for less than a year and they don't know. And it just seems like a really scary situation that is going to go very badly if we don't figure out how to help these people and how to retain people and train people and have people that we can count on to support family members, children, caregivers as a whole.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Stephanie, I appreciate you bringing that up, because I think, because there's also that flip side with the kinship care. Some family members take the kids in and don't report because of the fact that they feel like, 1, they're going to get that family member in trouble, and 2, I'm not going to get any help anyway. And I say that because that was my mom and myself with my nephew. And we felt like it was easier not reporting my sister because at least we knew there were food stamps. At least we knew he had medical, right? But in the end all, we did a great disservice to my nephew, right? Because of the fact that naively, we thought we were supporting when we were actually doing harm. So I appreciate people like you going out and giving this information, but it also goes with the state with gatekeeping and not allowing people to know. So it was like, for my mom, she didn't know. She didn't want her daughter to get in trouble. She didn't want, because she was afraid that the state would come in because of the fact that she only lived in a studio and take him, right? So I don't know, like and it's happening more and more. And I'm not mad that it's happening more and more, but it's scary that it's happening more and more. And it's scary that the risks that also parents are taking, because that's like another thing. So I have another sister. She doesn't live up here, but like, our childcare system is so messed up, especially with now there are jobs that are, the swing shifts, but you don't have childcare providers that are open at that time. Or if you do, it's very few. So I hate that my sister reaches out to Craigslist to have someone watch my niece. You know what I mean? But I think that that's another thing that we need to bring up. Like, even given the information, because we have friends and family care, but they pay so little. A lot of times people are like, yeah, I'm not going to watch the kid for that little amount of money. But then it's like, we need these kids to be safe, right? Because the other alternative is scary. So I feel like that's another thing that we also need to address.
Thank you, Sharice. Lena, looks like you have your hand up.
I'm not sure how safe I am sharing right now because so much has changed in this group. But couple things to piggyback off of what Tammy was saying. My son, we had a difficult child before CPS thought they knew everything and removed all our kids. But when we got him back, he was damaged beyond years and years of counseling, fixing. And he was in care for 2 weeks and he was moved 8 times in 2 weeks. 8 times. He was 5. Can you imagine what that does to a small child? Nobody wants me, you know, and they want to go home to their mom because it's a long story, but we hadn't done anything wrong to have them removed in the first place. And now you've traumatized our entire family. My 3 amigos, my 3 kids that were just the best of friends, like they were always in everything together. The 3 of them were just thick as thieves. They separated them and told them they're not really your brother. This was CPS doing this, told them they're not really brothers. They were step brothers, and that doesn't mean you're real brothers. And told them they don't have to love each other, they don't have to spend time together. And every that were removed, and we had 3 kids that wanted nothing to do with each other when they came back. And it's just heartbreaking. So that's something that needs to be fixed for sure. And then the other side of that, the flip side of that, is now that all that damage was done, I had a child who thought they could do whatever they wanted, because that was the other thing they were told. They didn't have to listen to their mommy and daddy if they didn't want to. All they had to do was call CPS, and CPS would just fix everything and give them a family that'll let them sit and play video games all day long instead. And this is something they used to tell us every time they would get in trouble for something and we'd ground them or something. That was the first thing. Well, we'll just call CPS and we'll just go somewhere else. They let you play video games all day in most of those places because they don't want it with you. So we'll get to do whatever we want. So I had a child that was so beyond out of control and no help. You know, I'd go and ask for help and say, look, I really need some help. Youth at Risk petition did nothing. Finally, he got himself in enough trouble that he was actually in trouble with the law. The juvenile justice system is a freaking joke. There was no support. You know, I would message his probation officer, like he's run off again. And he's like, well, when he comes back, just let me know. And he would just never show up. He would never go out looking for him. I mean, we're driving all hours of the night trying to find this kid who's just decided that, you know, they said that I can go take a walk whenever I want, and wanted to take a walk, so I'm out of here. And you know, nobody's helping us find him. And at one point they actually saw him and didn't tell us anything. And I'm like, why wouldn't you tell the parents that you saw him? Matter of fact, you're his probation officer. Why did you not pull over, get his little butt in the car and drive his butt home? Well, that's not my job. Well, then what is your job, sir? He didn't violate him on anything. He basically had a free pass to do whatever he wanted. Even going as far as hitting me and getting away with it. And then the court acted like I was ridiculous because I was like, what am I supposed to do? You want me to take the kid home that just beat the crap out of me a couple of days ago? Great. Now what do I do? It's a joke, and it needs a major overhaul. There needs to be actual consequences for these kiddos. We're trying our best as parents to show. You think so? He's talking about a Spidey, sorry. we're trying our best as parents to, try and show these kids that, before it's too late, that there are real consequences once you turn 18. Nobody gives a crap anymore now that you're 18. You do something like what you did before, and you're going to get shot. You're going to go to jail. Like, he was robbing people's porches, backyards, carports, whatever he could get into. People will shoot him for that around here. We're Eastern Washington. We all have weapons. We don't, play around with people messing around in our stuff. So he was in real danger of, not coming home at all. And, I don't have any backup to help. What the heck? So that has to change. Like 100%, something has to be done with the juvenile system so that there's actual consequences before it's too late for these kids. Consequences that actually work, that actually, for lack of a better term, scare them straight so that they start going, oh, wait, this is real. And I do have to shape up, or unless this is the life I want.
I have a question, Alina. And I mean, like, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but like, was mental health also part of his problem or issue?
100%. I ended up with, God thought I could take a lot apparently, because I ended up with 2 kids that were, my daughter was severe bipolar disorder with severe psychotic episodes, and then she also had oppositional defiant disorder and ADHD. And then my son had oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD, and they're pretty sure bipolar disorder, but the waiting list to get him tested was so freaking long. We were on it for 3 years before he aged out. And they just diagnosed him with a general mood stabilization disorder, which they said encompasses bipolar, but we didn't ever get the exact diagnosis because the list was ridiculously long, and we just never got to the top of that list. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked is, when we think about the penal system, a lot of people are there because of the fact there wasn't no mental health support. So I wonder with your situation, if it wasn't so much the probation officer helping, but mental health therapy, right? Like to help him.
I had him in everything. I had to drive an hour one direction to get him decent mental health care. I had a psychiatrist for him. I had med management for him. I had doctors, counseling twice a week, like everything that I physically do to get him, mental health help. He was in it, and without any help, because nobody around here wanted to help. They wanted to send me to the same crappy place that all they do is blame the parents and tell the kids it'll be okay, give them some candy and send them on their way. So to have decent, quality mental health care, I had to drive an hour one direction every single month for the psychiatrist. And, it was a nightmare. But yes, I definitely could have used some more, appropriate mental health, services, as well as, a lot of his issues were, nothing's going to happen to me. Watch this. And when he got caught robbing all those places, he looked at me straight in the face and said, and what? What are they going to do about it? And he was right. They did nothing. They kept postponing the court date. We'd go in and they'd just continue it. So he was on probation, but nothing was happening to him. And he was right. As soon as he turned 18, they were like, okay, we're closing this now. And I'm like, he learned nothing. So now he's 18 and he's out there and he learned nothing except that he can do what he wants. So that was the most frustrating part, is because it just, nothing ever happened to him. And he knew that. He absolutely 100% would stare you straight in the face and said, I can get away with it, so I'm going to.
Yeah, what I found with mental health is I cannot use my son's Medicaid for any mental health because I just can't get into a doctor that. So I just have to either private pay or use our regular insurance. Usually I just private pay it. But I know not everybody can do that. Because, he has, because he's adopted from foster care, he automatically gets Medicaid but I have insurance through my work. My husband has through his, so that's his third insurance, but we hardly ever use it because nobody wants to take it. So it's really hard. So, I mean, we have options, but not everybody has options and like a psychiatrist, I just have to private pay. I just have to use our Medicare, our HSA money and just, give the credit card every month.
Yeah, and I literally just had no other options. There was no way I could afford it. I looked into academies and I called one that was supposed to be so great. And they said, well, you do realize this is a voluntary program, right? And I said, what do you mean by that? And he says, well, if your kid calls you and says, I want to go home, if you're not there in 24 hours, your butt goes to jail for child abandonment. And I'm like, isn't the point kind of somebody else telling him what I've been telling him? Like, what's the point of sending him there if he could just call and say, I want to go home? And it was so frustrating. We exhausted everything that we could ever find and then some. And when I would go to CPS, they would either say, well, you could sign him over to the state, but basically we'll just take him to his biological father, who's the one that screwed him up in the first place. Or you can just keep trying, but there's no help for you unless you're abusing him. And I'm like, wow, thanks for that. Isn't the point of you guys like to actually support families? Because I ain't feeling support over here.
So we definitely want to talk about mental health and the lack thereof support. Like,
Yeah. First, Alina, very brave of you to share. And this is an absolute safe space for sure. Thank you very much. And I think you're right, Shrees, that I think some mental health understanding, better understanding of options for not only, I think, the youth, but also even families, right? Because you're all going through these things and you're really the advocates for these children. So, making sure if there are mental health services available for that, then I think that would be an interesting topic. So thank you very much.
James, I saw you had your hand raised for a minute. Was that an accident or did you?
No, I'm trying to word it and trying to think of the way to say it. So my thing is no matter how you look at it, between the judge and everyone else, there's a miscommunication. All the judges, they look at what the laws are and how you're supposed to act and how you're supposed to react to the laws. But when it comes to everybody else and in the proper world, it doesn't work that way. And what I mean by that is a judge issues an order of, hey, I think I'm going to just randomly put a name out there. Jessica, you're supposed to have this child Monday through Friday, and the child's supposed to go to Bill on the weekends. Okay, that's perfect. But when you come down to it, and I believe one young lady also made the statement of going on a visit, are you supposed to make this child go? And you can't do that. Well, when it comes down to it, making a child go to I think I used the name Bill on the weekends, you can't force a child to go. But when it comes back to the judges, why don't you just guys be a parent and you make this child do what they're supposed to? They're children. When it comes to DCYF, their wax and the RCWs make it that you can't force a child to do anything. And so there's a lot of misconceptions between legally from what a judge says down to the foster parent, the parent themselves, and from DCYF. So that's part of my standpoint. The other rest I have to think about.
I'm not sure what you mean by that you're not able to make a child go to a visit? Because every visit my foster kids have ever been to, they've had to go whether they wanted to or not.
Okay,
No,
and see, and that's one of the main things. At a certain age, from when, for the one foster kids that we've had, we were
Uh-huh.
told at a certain age, if they can sit there and say, no, I do not want to go, no matter how old they are, the foster parent is supposed to help encourage that child to go.
Okay.
Now, whether or not, if it is or not, but still, you're supposed to make that child go. Now, if a judge, and that's from a judge, well, DCYF at the time, I can't remember if the rules changed. The DCYF always sat there and told us, no, you have to make the child go. You physically have to put that child into the car and they have to go on a visit. There is no ands, ifs, or buts. There is no, the child doesn't make a decision. The child doesn't say anything, doesn't, we don't go by what that child says. That child has a court order or has something saying that they have to go. Now, whether or not, if that's true or not, still, it's making that child go.
So I guess I'm confused. So are you saying that the child should have to go, or they shouldn't have to go, or that?
Well, that's part of the miscommunication. A judge will sit there and say, yes, the child either A, has to go or not have to go, but it comes down to making that child go. If that child sits there and says, no, I don't want to go, who makes that child go? Does the foster parent, DCYF, the transport person, or does the child not go?
Yeah.
Which,
we had
which one
a
is it?
little, yeah, we had a little girl once that she dressed up like a little princess. She wanted to see her mom so bad. Picked out her little dress. I remember looked at all their dresses to find the perfect dress to look like a little princess, and mom didn't show, and she was devastated. So when I went to court, this was before COVID, I just told the judge the story that, you know, she just painstakingly picked out this dress to make her, because she wanted to look like a princess. And the judge said, hey, mom's got to have 24 hours notice now.
See, I've had the same. I've had one little boy who, he was brought to us, and for the first year we had no social worker. We had nobody. We didn't have a courtesy worker. We didn't have a supervisor. We had nobody. And through his visits, we were told, no, you have to physically put him in the car. He physically has to be strapped down and go. And he was 7 years old. And it's like, are you kidding me? Mom and dad, well, no, dad wasn't in the picture. Mom never showed up. And it came down to, well, mom has to be looked at by somebody. She has to be visited by somebody, make sure that she has a visit the next day. Or then it came down to within a couple hours and that she's going to be there. End of that one is mom never showed up for anything. Then we also had another one to where I think he was 10 at the time. And it was, no, if he physically sits there and says, no, I don't want to go, he's not going. He's not you don't have to do anything. He stays home. He stays with you. And so that's where it is. But then we also went to the judge on both cases. And the first one, that the judge is like, mom's never showing up. Do not make him go. He does not have to go. But then on the second one is like, no, it doesn't matter what the child says. You're the foster parent, right? Okay, so put him in the car, make him go. And it's like, where is this? Where is the what is right for the child? The child doesn't want to go. The child does want to go. What is right? That's two different kids. And who is right on this one? Is it the judge, DCYF, or the transport? Because the transport person, all they're there is to transport the child safely. That's all. That's all they can do. There is nothing more that they can. DCYF, they make the decisions whether or not how to make that child go or not make that child go from the judge. Some, as of I have an open case right now with there's been a court order for the child to have visits. We haven't had it. This child hasn't had a visit for 3 years with a parent because DCYF is not enforcing it. But the judge is okay with that because the parents don't want anything to do with the kids. But there's no open court order, but no parent is around. So it's a lack of communication and a lack of from somebody and getting it done, basically.
Thank you, James. We appreciate that. It sounds to me like a number of the items that you're interested in and looking at here in 2023 relate with the foster care system logically. And as I went back and tried to locate some previous work plans, I did find a 2022 work plan, but there was nothing entered in it. And then I went back and found a 2021 plan that actually does have a number of agenda topics. And one of them was foster care system concerns. So I think that's something we can kind of pull over to the 2023 work plan. Does anyone see any interest or need for learning about some of the grants that have become available through DCYF, and whether or not they're the preschool development grant or complex needs, you know, a number of those? Is that a topic that would be of interest?
So I know this is weird, maybe nobody else, but I love hearing about DCYF decision packages.
Oh, good. Okay.
And how they like, how are they deciding where they want to spend money? How are they deciding what they're going to ask for? And then throughout session, I guess our next meeting is, well, we have one in January, but just updates on you know, what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah. Okay. Legislative updates.
Yeah. Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely. Like I have a question, and I wonder if it went away, but maybe yes. So I remember when all of the chairs on the deck were changed. We were DEL and they said, we're going to make DCYF and we're going to bring it all these agencies into one organization and we're going to do things differently. And one of the things that they created was the Office of Innovation, Alignment, and Accountability. And I would like to know more about exactly how that office is functioning, what it is accomplishing. And I feel like we are who should be answering what they want to do as far as innovation. Like, I feel like that office should be directly responsible to us. Sorry, but that's the truth.
Yeah, Natasha, sorry, James. I really like that feedback because they actually are doing really incredible work, especially around data. And I think it would be really powerful to have them come speak to you all and for us to hear them as well. And I think also providing them with that feedback around innovation and parent partnership and what that looks like and how we can all work together is terrific. So yes, thank you for saying that. Sorry.
Thank you. I love that. And then the other thing, you know, because there's the lived experience bill, and how is DCYF stepping up and leading the work in that? So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. We're still a little ahead of schedule, so we do still have some time.
I think
if you're
James
not,
has his hand raised.
oh
Sorry
yeah,
to
go ahead,
interrupt there.
James.
So, okay, for the two young ladies that were just talking about the new program, I can't remember what they just called it, about the overhead committee, I think it was. I believe, and this is from personal experience, that there is not a lot of accountability for anything. It's all about passing the buck from everyone. I believe that the way the system works and the way the system is, it's always about just tell me your problems and I will talk to my manager or my supervisor, and then we'll go from there. And nobody is held accountable for what their actions or what is going on. It's always passing it up to somebody else and having somebody else deal with it.
And while I don't disagree with you, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, and I don't want to invalidate your very absolute real experiences. What we were referring to is it's the Office of Innovation Oversight and Accountability, and it was created specifically when DCYF was created by law in legislature. And the purpose behind it was specifically to make sure that our new Department of Children, Youth, and Families that was taking on a lot of agencies was then accountable. And it is a relatively new organization or department or whatever however it is functioning. I don't have all the words, but its purpose is to make sure that they are accountable. And that's why I think it would be really amazing if we could hear from them. Again, I don't want to dismiss, I think that your experience is absolutely real. But I'm hoping that like we can make change, right? We want that to change. We want to make that be different. And I really feel like that we can, just one little piece at a time. But I'm optimistic, so.
I'm with you on that one, miss. I totally am.
Yeah, I think we have to have an action plan. We got to have you got to break this down, and you got to, you know, what do you want to change, and what's the action plan, and how are we gonna do it?
Love it. Of course, I don't have the answer to that if there is an action plan, but I think that's a fantastic.
But I would be totally willing to. I mean, if we could get an action plan,
okay.
And I mean, I'd be totally on doing whatever I could to.
Okay.
So
sounds like you're
work on
volunteering
that.
to participate. Yeah. Fantastic.
Oh yeah, I
Thank you,
totally
Tammy.
would participate on I mean, whatever skills I have, minimal skills.
Very good. It looks like Jenny dropped a link in there to looks like to let me get this, OIAA. I have actually had a chance to see OIAA provide numerous presentations over the last year, about a year and a half or so, related to the data and the data dashboards that they have been developing. So I'm going to drop a link in here as well, and that might give you a little more background as to some of the really neat stuff that OIAA is doing. And we will absolutely make sure that group is able to come in front of you guys and give you a chance to kind of learn about some of that stuff in a deeper dive. I pop that in there for you. Enjoy that read when you have a chance.
We can send all these links out with the follow-up email as well.
Good.
I'm wondering, we've talked a lot about legislation in this conversation, and I'm wondering if this might be a good opportunity for Charisse to share what she heard at the ELAC meeting and ask the group about.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, that gave me a lot of good information. By just talking about so I feel like it's translatable to some of what we feel like we'll see in or in the ELAC in order to change legislation. So I feel like I'm good. Like you gave me way more than what I thought I needed to hear. I don't know, like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, Charisse, you were at was it the executive committee meeting for ELAC?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was. Yeah, it was a very long ELAC day.
I think the executive session, right?
Executive session.
The ELAC meeting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I do recall that topic. I was actually in with that long day as well. A lot of great information, I think, that
Oh no,
that,
it was great information, but I feel like this is some of because I think like when things go into law, the intent is great, but I feel like the impact that it has on community is not so stellar. So I feel like you guys gave me a lot of information, right? Like in how it's impacting some of us trying to utilize these services that you say are there, but clearly are not sufficient to get the needs of the children and families addressed. So yeah, you gave me a lot. And
Yeah.
I'm, because when I get quiet is because like I'm processing. So yeah.
Good. Well, we'll know when you're quiet what you're doing. How about anyone else? Covered a lot of topics. We've got a pretty robust list, I think.
So my question, Eric, are you going to share this list like in a follow-up email that goes out?
Yes, yes. You know, I'm not sure if we have a real definitive plan as to what it is we're going to do with all of
No,
this.
it's not a plan, but I'm just going to I'm a copy and paste all them topics.
Yeah, yeah.
And give it.
Yeah. What I think would be great, and I'll kind of get with Emily and Jenny, you know, after this meeting here. But I think it'd be great maybe if we were able to take all these topics and then really, you know, throw them out to the group and say, you know, please identify 6 that are the most important, and then really just, you know, taking like using a survey monkey or something where we're just kind of taking a poll to some degree as to, you know, here's a bunch of stuff all of interest, but then maybe being able to identify, you know, what's really important from each group. That might be helpful too, but there will definitely be follow-up with all
No.
of this.
No. I like where you're going. I like where you're going because I would hate to just throw a whole lot of stuff. And then someone feels like, well, you know, I didn't carry that message or I didn't, right? But
yeah.
I think identifying from the group, like out of all of these conversations that we had, then we could also get the voice of the people that aren't here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I like it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing.
I kind of feel like I'm just heaping one more on now, but I did think of something else.
Oh, please share.
Another lived experience here. Something maybe like a class or something for us on how to help kiddos that are about to age, you know, turn into adults that maybe aren't taking their meds and aren't dealing well with life when they're not taking their meds, and you know, that kind of stuff, where kids that have maybe mental health concerns or things like that, how parents can deal with that, how they can maybe help guide a little better, because once a kid gets it in their head they don't need something, it's really hard to, you know, show them that they do, especially when they have mental health concerns, because then they just kind of double down and dig their heels in deeper kind of thing. But I think that would be really helpful for, you know, parents struggling with that, whether foster or natural. Yeah.
Thank you, Alina. Well, we're getting close to the end of our meeting here. I know we do have an update that I believe Jenny was going to take on. Jenny, are you ready? Okay, fantastic.
Thank you. Tired toddler in the back, so you may hear some noises. I actually wanted to see, do we have any parent ambassadors currently or previous parent ambassadors that are joining? Natasha, were you one? Okay.
Yes, I was.
Okay, perfect. So I'm hoping you can support me.
So was myself.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Thanks,
so it's
Sharice.
Teresa.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping the two of you can help support me in this conversation. So April sent us a message that they're recruiting for parent ambassadors and sent out some application information, and there's some information sessions. So I was hoping she could join us, but she can't. And so I wanted to deliver the message. We can send this out via email to you all as well, so you have the links. And I think there's also some testimonials as well that were provided in the email that you all can read. But I was hoping, since both Sharice and Natasha, you are previous ambassadors, if you could talk about it. What was that, Sharice? Sorry.
Annalena.
Annalena. Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. If the three of you could maybe talk about it a little bit so that the other parents can hear your experiences or share any sort of pieces that you felt like were important from it. And, you know, in either direction, right? Like just whatever you all feel, in all, you know, transparency. And then we can send out that email as a follow-up as well, if you're comfortable.
I had a lot of toddler noise. Are you asking us to say something at the next meeting, or?
Right now, if you would, because we'll do a follow-up with, yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to, all good, whatever you're comfortable with.
So I would definitely speak, but I don't want to be the first person to speak because I'm actually a coordinator now. So I was trying to, I'd like to let Alina or Sharice speak first if they would like to, or I will.
I'm in the middle of a disagreement between my two kids, so I gotta
okay.
kind of be a mom and handle that.
Okay, Sharice. So so this is what I would absolutely love to send out. We have you know, a one pager in both Spanish and English. We do simultaneous Spanish interpretation. So we can serve Spanish speaking families. We are a program. The quick way to say is we're a year-long training in grassroots advocacy in the legislative process. We look at everything through a racial equity lens, and we are focused on changing policy for families with young children. All of that to say that we're a leadership training institute factory. We work with families, moms or dads, or any caregiver with a child that under 9 from across the state. And it's really, it's very relational, right? So the ask is, there's an ask or an assignment or a learning opportunity almost every Monday, but every other Monday, there's a Zoom call where we gather together and we get information, we learn about policies and things like that. 4 times a year, we gather together in person. These are really extensive and intensive training opportunities. It's fully paid for. I'm just finishing up my first year as a coordinator. And I knew when I started, I was trying to explain it to the parents on my team. I was like, they'd call me and ask questions, and I would say, listen, just go with it. You're really not going to know what you're doing until you're done. And that is really kind of how it goes. You go through the training and you gather all this information. And then after about 10 months, you start to apply it and you see the difference that you make. I can't say enough about it. It's fulfilling to do this work. I completed the training like 10 years ago, and it was why I became engaged in public policy. So is that what you wanted, Jenny?
That was amazing. Yes.
So how do I read about this? Where do I go to read about this?
We're going to send you some email, Tammy. So you'll see it as a follow-up in the email that kind of comes out short. I don't know when. Eric,
so is this something we can apply for?
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, applications are open through January. And if you go to if you type in Washington State Parent Ambassador into the Google bar, it'll take you somewhere.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I'm on the other screen. I'm on the computer. On one screen, I'm looking at you. The other screen, I'm typing on.
Yeah, and I think it'll pull up, in their website or whatnot. You'll see some pictures, and then there'll be like description of, and then there's an application. We're currently taking applications, and it's really powerful.
It says Washington State Association of Head Start and ECAP Parent Ambassador. Is that what it is?
Yes. And I would say it is totally transformational, right? Like, the reason why I got in is I just felt like I wanted to have a voice, right? And where you were saying, Tammy, it was like, look, I want to also be able to change policy. You
Yeah.
will not only be able to be involved to do it, it will also give you the tools in order for you to start creating your own policy and then be an ally to, like, what is it, like over 200 other parents all across Washington state. So to me, I would say it was an amazing opportunity. And that's why when I was talking earlier, where I was saying, like, I'm also trying to get my daughter involved in advocacy, it wasn't until I was not going to say almost how old, right? Until I got it. And that's what I'm trying to do is now that second generational approach. I will say for some of my story, because some of you guys don't know me because we ain't met in person yet, like, it's helped me set the bar higher for myself. It helped me understand that I now give my children the liberty to be better than me. I am the first one out of my mom's children that are totally off any assistance. For us, I would have said like if you would have met me 6 years ago before I went on that journey, I would have been like, yeah, not me. I have been given so many opportunities with leading change. Yeah, like, I don't know, I'm trying not to get emotional, but I would say it really is a way where, like, we all have voices. It's really in a way for us to not just think about how to affect change in our own community, but even bigger. Because before I never thought about things outside of my zip code, right? Now it's like I'm not just fighting on a local level. I've been put in spaces where I'm fighting on a national level. And a lot of times, you know, we don't think about things in that way. I would say that, you know, a lot of times those that are the closest to the struggle have to be the closest to the solution. Because in fact, we do have a lot of the answers. We're just not given the opportunity to do so. So for anybody, I would encourage you to share it, even if you don't think like right now is the time for you. I believe this time, aren't they holding informational sessions so that people can kind of get to know more?
They are. We're having calls, and I'll just tell you, there was one last night and I could not find it. And so like I'm right now like desperately, I know that there is at least one more Zoom. And so I will make sure that Jenny has that so that it comes out with the follow-up where you can come into a Zoom call. That's the first time we're doing them is this year. And so I know that and that is often my struggle is I go back to find something I cannot figure out. I put it in my calendar and I can't figure out where I got the information. But the applications are open until January 15th. The only requirement is that you have a child that's 9 and under. Some tips.
That's not me.
Oh, it's not?
My child is 10.
Yeah, she did. She did say that.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's a bummer. But if you know of any other foster parents, Tammy, I would love to see a couple of, I was trying to, like someone to come through that has that experience. I really want a parent from a charter school on our team this year because I feel like we could do a lot of work in that area, but we don't have any connections. But I want to say that, the applications are, I wanted to give you guys tips though. Like, so, something that to keep in mind is when you're answering the question is that we're not looking for a particular person. We're looking for a person who wants change, right? Like you might not have all the answers to the questions that you're asked on that application, but we're looking for someone that is open to learning about the things on the application, if that makes sense. I'll make sure you guys get the information. And even if you don't use it, please give it to others. Thank you.
So are you the one that reads the applications and chooses the person?
So I am a coordinator, so I don't choose them. We do it as a team. I will read over, like, I'll get like a percentage, like 25% of them to look at.
Mhm.
I think Sharice is even on that as an alumni. I could be wrong. We have we're creating a steering committee really to lead some of these things so that they are more like, I want to say objective. It's hard to be, you can't really be objective with people, right? But it's important to have a process that is fair. How's that? Yeah.
Yeah. So is this mainly for early, it looks like all the questions are about early childhood things. So
our program developed from Head Start and ECAP. We were originally only eligible to Head Start and ECAP parents. Then we expanded to children. They also use the child care, working connection child care subsidy. And then just within the last few years, I mean, this might be the 4th year at the most, maybe the 3rd, we have expanded to anyone with a child that's 9 and under. And so the questions they are aimed at early childhood experiences because we are a subset of WASA, which is the Head Start and ECAP program. And that is the policy really that you will learn. You'll bite your teeth in and learn on that policy, but then you can take the skills to any policy.
Amazing, Natasha. Thank you so much. And again, send that information out so that you all have that. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. We are doing our Unsung Heroes campaign for Parent Recognition Month in February. So maybe Eric and Emily, we can send that out too. I can give you the details on that if you all know of anybody who you want to nominate. That would be great. I think that's all the updates from me.
We both unmuted at the same time and then waited for the other one. Well, thank you guys so much. I feel like we had a lot of really good discussions tonight, and we definitely have a lot of really solid items to start working on the work plan. And we have some follow-up items, and we'll be sending that email out hopefully sometime Friday, but if not, early next week. And as always, if there's anything else you have that you want to contribute or any other questions, please feel free to email us in the meantime. But thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you guys for your vulnerability and courage that you show in these meetings. I feel like I'm always really inspired by the things you have to say and the experiences that you guys share with us.
Can I ask, Tammy, where are you? Where in the state are you?
I'm in Olympia, Washington.
Oh, okay. Because I also know of a smaller pilot program in Tri-Cities. So I'll be thinking about you, Tammy.
Yeah, that's a little far for me. Well, I mean, I do have a lot on my plate. I'm a lot of leadership I'm a nurse at the hospital, and I'm a charge nurse, and I'm on a lot of leadership panels there and doing change in the hospital. So thinking if I can do change in the hospital, maybe I can do change at DCY.
Yeah,
you can and you are just by being in this room.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But I have a lot on my plate, so maybe
okay.
Maybe
well, I'll be thinking about you.
Okay.
Thank you,
All right. Thank you.
It's really good to see everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you all.
Good night.